Tonight we're gonna make love. You know how I know? Because it's Wednesday. And Wednesday night is the night that we usually make love. Monday night is my night to cook. Tuesday night we go and visit your mother. But Wednesday we make sweet weekly love. It's when everything is just right. There's nothing good on TV. You haven't had your after-work social sports team practice, so you're not too tired. Oh, it's all on. You lean in and whisper something sexy in my ear like, I might go to bed now, I've got work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh, it's business. It's business time. Oh, yeah. Then went in the bathroom, brushing our teeth. That's all part of the foreplay. I love foreplay. A shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake. Ow, ow, ow. And you sort out the recycling. That isn't part of the foreplay process, but it is still very important. Next thing you know, we're in the bedroom. You're wearing that baggy old ugly t-shirt you got from your work several years ago. You know the one, baby, with the color stain. I remove my clothes very, very clumsily, tripping sensuously over my pants. Now I'm naked, except for my socks. And you know when I'm down to just my socks, what time it is. It's business. It's business time. You know when I'm down to my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call business. It's business. It's business time. Yeah. Make a love. Make a love for. Make a love for two. Make a love for 2 minutes. When it's with me, girl, you only need 2 minutes. Because I'm so intense.
What absolute timing that was. Holy moly. Everybody, welcome in. We are live. We appreciate for everyone sticking around and obviously checking out the Masters week of the Gap Wedge Wednesday. And, you know, I do have to say, I think you guys all owe me a sincere debt of gratitude. And let me tell you why. Because when the Gap Wedge Wednesday boys started their streak is when I stopped betting.
Okay.
So I want everybody to, if you guys want to send me some, free plays via Hard Rock, if you guys want to send me some, kudos my way, that's great because I bet when we talked about it, I think it was like the next 3 weeks when they were on that little cold streak, and then I stopped, and I think they've won every single week since.
They're 3 out of the last 5.
Yeah,
but they also had one of the ones they didn't win. I think they had like the players, right? The Jeremy, it's the players, right? The players they didn't win, but they had like 7 out of the top 10 that they had on their card. It's just, I just
wanted to put that out there for the universe. If anybody knows anything about me and my betting, like, yes, I am the dark curse that comes over the clouds. That so the clouds have all parted. Tyson stopped betting, and the boys are winning. So if you didn't check that out, be sure to check it out. It is only on Facebook, YouTube, as well. We're going to work on making sure we get that over to the Twitch for the replays as well, because that is the only app where you can close it out in the background and still listen to it without YouTube doing its thing. It is Wednesday. We are back, fresh back into the country from the great country of Canada.
Great country, Canada, huh?
Yeah, man, I had a great time up there, dude. It was beautiful. I was up in Vancouver for a little stock trading convention. Mountains, dude, it gave me like little Switzerland vibes. The people there were awesome. we talked to them a little bit about their taxes. And FYI, if you live in Canada, you don't pay taxes on gambling weddings. That's an FYI. But
I've never won enough to pay taxes on gambling winnings anyway. So
they also said, though, that they could, the free healthcare can go screw. They would rather do without it and have less taxes. So for all of you out there in that world, that is a little tidbit for you. And as I was leaving at the butt crack of dawn at 4:45 in the morning because of a wonderful scheduling error by myself. Well, the problem was the flights from Vancouver to Orlando were not plentiful. So I was, kind of had to pick and choose where to go. But as I was leaving, they were on the way there. I did, which is why I landed at midnight on East. I left at 7:30 Saturday night East Coast time, and I got to Vancouver at the hotel at midnight West Coast time. Okay. Beautiful 8 hours.
8 hours?
Yeah, beautiful 8 hours.
That's not crazy.
It's not. It's not, especially, where you're sitting, where I was sitting, it was kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, a little tax write-off for you. Huh?
in the back, peasants.
In the business card.
I wish. But we're back. We're live. We got a few things to go over here real quick and recap. We are in a little bit of a time crunch because of my delay. I had to take my big boy to the vet. Just found out everything's good. It's just an allergic skin reaction. Yeah, so we're going to put him on some steroids and get that back. But that was why I couldn't do the show at the normal time. I had to get the big boy in because, as you know, if children, pets, anything, as soon as something goes wrong, you freak out and you're like, I need to get my baby in. So that's what it is. So
funny. I pop into Publix. First person I see as I pop into Publix is Jeremy on this little 30-minute break that we had. I literally made it to 7-Eleven, Publix, and Wendy's to get food for the family on the way back. But I pop in, I see Jeremy shake his hand. I'm like, I got to go, bro. Like, I don't have time to chit chat. I got to move. Boom, grabbed everything. As I'm grabbing eggs, I look over and there's my pediatrician for all my kids. And he's like, so, what's going on? How
shouldn't he be at work?
Double ear infection. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time though, doc.
Love to chat to you, but I got to get the hell out of here.
I'm like, I gotta go, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm like, they put him on this other amoxicillin. It's a little bit stronger and he's doing a lot better. He's actually sleeping through the night right now. So,
beautiful. And 3 times, Jeffrey did tell me why you were there. And let me tell you, the peer pressure is going to be put on both of you guys to stop smoking. I'm full force on it. I need you guys to be healthy. I need you guys around. I care about you both. Jeff only does it when he drinks, which is still an issue. He'll tell you every single time. As soon as he lights up, what do I say to you, Jeffrey?
Oh, I thought you quit. I'm like, oh, bro.
It's like, oh, you still smoke? Oh, okay. But let's get into it. We got both basketball championships to recap. A few things to do with the NBA as we wind down to the season. MLB, we do have a little bit, but not much. And then, of course, at the very, we do have NFL news. So let's get right into it. The NCAA Men's Championship, Purdue 60, Uconn 75. This game actually started out really, really great. And one of the cool things actually about the West Coast is day ball comes on at 10:30 in the morning.
That's a problem.
It is a problem. And with this as well, this I think started at 6 o'clock or 6:30. Whereas over here is at 9:30 at night. So yes, you get to see everything. It does, I think, correlate a little bit problems with work, but did get to catch all of this game. Purdue came out a little bit stronger than I thought. It kind of gave me a little bit of vibes of the Illinois game. Not to say that Illinois is just as Purdue, but I'm just saying it was close, and then it wasn't. And then the second half, UConn just comes out, completely dominates, ended up winning by 15. I think that they were just too deep. What a run by the UConn Huskies this year. Just unstoppable when they got in this tournament. I do believe the average point of winning or points spread was 15 throughout this whole tournament. Absolutely amazing run. Total domination. Shout out to Davey Portnoy for his $2.5 million bet.
What a hit.
I said last week, if you could still find UConn anywhere plus money or anything, that was the time to hammer it. So hopefully people got on as well. But yeah, what a showing by Kentucky. And, I guess shout out to a little bit to Purdue for hanging in the first half.
For sure. And, listen, obviously off the back of Zach Edey, and he's just a monster down there. And Clingan did everything that he could. I thought he defended him very well. You know that Zach Edey doesn't really have that much of a left as well. So you saw Clingan just riding that side and forcing him to try to make some tough angles and shots there as well. Even though he played great. I don't know if Edey's a pro. That's a big topic of conversation now is, will the 2-time National Player of the Year and the guy who just led Purdue to, multiple runs, will he be a pro? And I don't have a good answer for it. It's a Taco Fall situation. The NBA is so fluid now in terms of stiffness.
Okay,
He's
okay.
way more skilled than Taco.
I was gonna
Fall.
say
Let me
overall
put that
he's a
out
much
there.
better player.
But stiff wise, it's just tough because your bigs now are they're not necessarily 7'4", and if they are, they're Victor Wembanyama. Okay, and could you imagine Zach Edey trying to guard Victor Wembanyama, him drawing him out of the paint? It would just be a nightmare. The other problem too for Edey is that he's able to really cater to the college rules a lot when it comes to defense and not having to move a lot out of the paint as well, and kind of getting back and forth. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't draft Edey personally. I think I heard Nick Wright say that he thinks that Miami would be a perfect fit for him because Bam can play an extended 4 and Edey can kind of do his thing. But I don't know how he fits in the athleticism that we have in the NBA now.
Well, I definitely feel like Klingon is just a better player overall.
Yeah.
And I know he's a sophomore. I think he's projected a first 5 pick. I think that Edey could go along the same types of what we talk about as rookie quarterbacks, right? When you get to that level, so like AR, we talked about AR and his intangibles and the things that he could do with proper coaching, right? When you get a multi-billion-dollar industry like the NBA with deep coaches and NBA mentality across the board, I think it could be developed. I don't know about wasting a I don't want to say wasting, utilizing a first round pick on him, which I do believe I saw that he was projected to have a first round pick. However, I do believe if you could get him in later rounds as a project, absolutely.
Yeah.
But to your point, when I watch Wemby out there and he's bringing the ball up the court, he's rolling off picks, he's shooting deep threes. I mean, there's no way that this dude, and I called him a bust, right? Because I like to go against the trends. I was absolutely wrong. I think this dude is absolutely bioengineered. There's no way.
It's incredible. I watched him yesterday. He had a guy on the perimeter, and he did a 2-dribble little sham god in and out, reverse to go for the 360 spin move, and with the left hand just laid it right up and in. It's indefensible. It truly is. I mean, San Antonio, good for you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe you're gonna do something in the next 3 years, and actually get him some stuff. So
yeah.
Once again, congratulations to Uconn.
Incredible run, dynasty in the making, and it's crazy too because they lost a bunch of talent last year to the draft. They just retool transfers, different guys that they had in the program. Boom, re-up, make another run again. I would expect them to probably be around there next year. Although if you're looking for futures next year, Duke just seems like the bet. I mean,
I honestly I wouldn't touch anything until the transfer portals and all that shit's done. Oh, you just never know anymore, man.
But Duke has Cooper Flagg coming in, and they just have their recruiting class is just ridiculous that John Shire has put together. So I think that'll be an interesting. It could be Uconn and Duke going forward for a long while now as well.
Some more powerhouse news to coming out. Coach Calipri out of Kentucky, apparently going to Arkansas for less money. If you've been following Kentucky and you've been following some of his mannerisms, you could see this for quite a while. He was ready to leave Kentucky. He was just ready. I think, he's made his bag, right? He's made his bag. Now it's time to think about legacy. So when you go to Arkansas and you have less money, I'm assuming there's going to be less NIL money, even though it is SEC. Let's be honest, the Arkansas Razorbacks aren't necessarily pulling in the money that Kentucky is.
You got John Daly,
Yeah, well, he gambled he gambled all his money away. This was something that you could definitely see. I mean, you could tell by the way that he was in regards to Kentucky being ones and dones and not being able to implement some of the other systems that some of the other coaches have as far as like, we want my kids to be educated and graduate. It's just that it was just never the case at Kentucky. And with the transfer portal and the NIL, it was a lot of one and dones. That's got to be tough. I mean, you're recruiting 24/7 at that place. It just seemed like it was just one of those things where you did all this work, get a good player, 1 year, they're gone. I can't blame the players, but you could just see he was a little bit exhausted. So I guess maybe Arkansas, he's going to fly under the radar a little bit. The expectations are obviously way less.
Correct.
So maybe it's just one of those things where, hey, let me take a little bit less money. I'm still getting a good bag. Let me see what I can do here at the end of my career. If I can, bring this program up, then that will cement my legacy because Kentucky was already there. Mm-hmm. He just kind of slid in. He did a good job at Memphis. Kentucky was already there. So if he can bring Arkansas up right off into the sunset, he'll probably cement his legacy as far as one of the best coaches in the NCAA.
So from what I understand, it's 8.5 million, but there isn't, and it's an incentive-laden contract where success in the tournament and in the SEC can translate to almost 10 million a year. So it is a little bit of a pay cut. I guess there is like the 3-time put out there. Tyson Chicken has a lot going on with it, and Jerry Jones as well too, being able to throw bags over there. The question now becomes though, where do you go if you are Kentucky? And there's different things that have been put out there and foddered around with in terms of names that have been floated. The thing is that you got to be a dynamic personality to go to a place like Kentucky. And there's just been kind of this rotating men's college basketball right now. When you look at who's that? The guy for FAU. Anyway, Andy Enfield went to USC. He got fired there. Musselman then goes to USC to replace him there. Where will this land for them? A name that was intriguing to me that I heard that I think is very interesting is Billy Donovan. And for the simple reason that I don't think Billy has ever been that successful in the NBA. The Chicago thing, listen, you're the play-in 2 years in a row. You got a bunch of money. You got max players. You got Vooch. You got DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White coming into his thing. Caruso was a big signing in the offseason, not to mention a Zach LaVine that's there. Patrick Williams was a top pick. These things just haven't panned out. And I wonder if there might be a mutual parting of ways when it comes to the Bulls, depending on how they do in the play-in coming up here in the playoffs starting next Monday. And would that open up Billy Donovan being able to return to Kentucky? Or I'm sorry, being able to go to Kentucky and play or coach. So, well, I don't know. What do you think?
Obviously, I'm a little biased.
Chicago much better than I do. So
I'm a little biased on my boy Billy. Obviously, coming from the Florida, the back-to-back national champions, and then moving and going to Oklahoma City, where he didn't really have a whole lot of success. To your point again, and I do believe he had some good players there. Not a completely loaded team like they have now.
Paul George, but then Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. I mean, you had bigs there and Adams. They had talent.
They had talent, and he has talent over there. But there's a lot of NBA teams that are laden with talent that don't produce. Sure. And I think it has to do with the egos of the NBA players. I mean, Zach LaVine has been hurt the entire time. Lonzo Ball was supposed to be the one to come into Chicago and be that guy, right? And then he never played, which apparently he might be back by this year. I don't know. You're right. It's been intriguing, but I will say this, as far as the Bulls front office goes and everything that's been going on, it hasn't been good. And there's been rumors of Zach LaVine basically saying, I don't want to play for Billy. And the other guys being like, we're good. So there's been a lot of stuff that's going on there. Whatever's best for Billy and moving forward. To me, the Bulls are just a mid-tier organization. They just are. I don't feel like that they've done anything since they're still riding Michael Jordan's coattails.
Yeah,
have been ever since the last championship that we've ever seen, which was from him. We had a little bit of brief spotlight in the Derrick Rose era, and then they moved on from him, which rightfully so. He was hurt, but they could have done right by him and brought him back at the end and retired a Bull, which is what everybody in Chicago wanted. I will say the city of Chicago is pretty split on this as far as Billy Donovan being a shit coach and just being out of there. But it's hard to argue with this many superstars that are on a team that you're still having under 500 record. You're still going to look like the 10th spot in the playoff once again. There's no cohesion. So whether that rests on Billy or the guys in the locker room, I don't know. For me, if Billy Donovan goes to Kentucky, it's going to be a heartbreaker, which he has come out and he said it before the Knicks game last night, which they lost again, that, there was no contact between the two and there's no correlation. If he goes back to college basketball and goes anywhere other than Florida, it's going to kill me. It really is. I mean, it's Billy Donovan court. What are you going to have? You're going to have the Kentucky Wildcats coming in playing the Florida Gators on Billy Donovan court.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
And, we just signed Golden to an extension, which he has been doing well. But to me, if Billy Donovan has decided I'm done with the NBA, then he has to go back to Florida. He just has to. I don't see any. He has to, man. There's no way he's going to the Kentucky Wildcats, but we shall see. To your point, there hasn't been a whole lot of success in the NBA, so we'll see what happens.
Love to have him at Florida State once Leonard Hamilton steps away.
Dude, I will burn it down if that happens. So we'll see what's happening. Now, moving on to the women. The NCAA women with Caitlin Clark in Iowa playing South Carolina. They did fall 75-87. South Carolina, in my opinion, was just a little too deep. But, I will have to backtrack on one of my statements. As anybody who watches the show, the uninformed fan, will figure out I make some bold statements. And if I'm wrong, I retract them. I'm not one of
You
these
do.
guys that sits there and says, no, I'm still right.
Like me.
NCAA women's viewership was 18.9 million versus the men's championship game at 14.82. Now, a lot of people might be like, well, that's just weird. I go, well, let me give you a reason why. Well, let's think about this. The men's, right? There's not a whole lot of females, especially younger females, watching the men. Now, Caitlin Clark has inspired a whole different generation. I will say that. And I think when you add a demographic that is basically untouched on the other side, there's still, so same thing with the men's, right? There's a core of men's that won't watch women's basketball, but they also might just flip over to see what's happening. And I think you get that. You get the women that are watching this more than that. And absolutely blown it out. So maybe Caitlin Clark was right and I was wrong as far as, well, the numbers actually don't lie. There was more interest in the women's national championship than the men's overall. So
I 4 million, right? It was like 4 mil.
18.9 to 14.8.
Yeah.
So I will take it back. And, Caitlin Clark, kudos to you, which we're going to talk about her next steps in further. But obviously, I didn't get to see this game. I was in the middle of a seminar during this because it was in the middle of the day. I did happen to look. I'm like, wait a minute, Caitlin Clark lost. So I didn't get to see it. I will let you break it down. But just from a 10,000 foot level, I felt the exact same way that I felt when they played UConn. I felt UConn was a deeper team. And I thought that South Carolina was a deeper team. I was able to overcome that against UConn, was not able to overcome that versus South Carolina. And now for the breakdown, Jeffrey.
I have a ton of thoughts about this. So, man, where do I start? Well, let's start with the semifinal that they played against UConn. And a tremendous game, back and forth. Paige, Caitlin, God, just really fun basketball to watch back and forth. I thought there's a very controversial call that happens on a moving screen with 5 seconds left by the Iowa player going in. And if you slow it down to like frame by frame by frame, you can make an argument that the UConn girl leaned in a little bit, whatever. My opinion about it was that it was such a heady play by Gabby Marshall. The fact that she comes off the pick, knowing that they have one foul to give, UConn's taking their time. They're dribbling the ball. They want the very last shot. She's coming off that pick. She doesn't have to come as hard as she did, but she came really hard. Hard enough to where she then reacted, so she comes really hard. She reacts, and she forces the official into a spot where the official has to make a call. And if the official makes the call and says that's a foul on Gabby Marshall, okay, listen, side out of bounds. Now you got 3 seconds to get up a shot, down 1, and create a good look. That's a lot tougher than when you're going into that action. So I thought it was a really heads-up play by Gabby Marshall. Obviously, it goes the other way. They end up getting, a couple free throws and an offensive rebound, and the game was over. And that kind of was what it was. Now,
real quick on that play.
Please.
To me, after I slowed it down, it looked to me like the Iowa defender literally slid into her. You saw the leg slide out, and it looked like there was movement.
But Gabby came hard. Okay, it is what it is. Now moving on, there was comments that were made by Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird. And listen,
what were the comments?
So there was kind of like they do the Manning cast. Separately, like when they have a Monday Night Football game going on, they'll have the Manning cast. So they had Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi on a separate channel just commenting on the game. Now you're also, with hyperbole, let's say we have 2 UConn stars who were unbelievable players for UConn who are commenting on a game that UConn is playing. All right. But Diana Taurasi had the opinion that she doesn't think that Caitlin Clark should be the number 1 pick. She thought it was Paige, which is an egregious take in itself. Okay. But then she doubled down and said, I hope that she's ready because, yeah, you look really good against these 18-year-olds, but wait till you come into the league and you're playing against grown women. It seems bitter. It seems like Caitlin Clark is going to step into a situation with a target on her back from all these players. My question is, why are you so angry? Obviously,
I'll tell you exactly why.
This
NIL
is
money
that has grown the game substantially in her time there. And for you to come out and then hate on her, That's what happens when the leg slides out. Very true. For her to come out there and then hate on her and basically like put a target on her back, I thought it was terrible. And I've been a big Diana Taurasi fan pretty much her entire career. I thought she was an unbelievable player, one of the best women's basketball players I've ever seen in my life. But Caitlin Clark is also now in that bill as well. I was sitting there on Sunday, and to fast forward to the actual game itself, I flip it on, I pop some popcorn. It's 3:00. I mean, it's like, don't you have to go to work in 40 minutes? Why are you not taking a nap? I go, listen, I really want to watch this. And so she
time out. It's 3:00. You have to be work at 3:40.
I have to leave the house at 3:40.
Okay.
Or start getting ready at 3:40 to go.
Well, that's a big difference. What time do you have to leave the house?
By 4.
Okay, so 3:00, little 30-minute nap, then get ready. Okay.
Usually it's like
How do you take a nap at 3:00 when you have to be out the door at 3:40? I'm like, dude, this guy's a professional fucking napper here.
Homie, I can get REM sleep in like 10 minutes. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Watching the game itself, man, and Caitlin Clark comes out, and Amanda's like, so wait a minute. So this is the girl that everybody's talking about. And I'm like, listen, this is Caitlin Clark. There's nobody on her team that would be on South Carolina's team right now. Not much less the starting 5 that would be playing for South Carolina. But listen, she's an unbelievable player. They've gone on this great run. Caitlin Clark scores 18 points in the first quarter, the most points ever scored in the history of the women's national final in one quarter by a player. It was an unbelievable start. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, this can't be sustainable. Now they go up by 11 points, and South Carolina is just they're really deep, man, and like they're really good. And Dawn Staley's a great coach as well. And the back and forth, and also what Dawn Staley, I don't know if you saw what Dawn Staley said after, and I could disagree immensely about what Dawn Staley said when asked the question about does she think that transgender should be able to play, that a transgender man who identifies as a woman should be able to play women's college basketball. She said anybody who thinks that they're a woman should be able to play with women. I couldn't disagree more. However, after the game,
before that, who asked that fucking, like, you just came off winning the national championship, the first question that you have.
This is in the like Final Four pressers that they had, where there's a bunch of media before the game. But this is before the national championship, this whatever. This is somebody from Clay Travis's Outkick, right? That is, very, we'll say, rightish, as we all know Outkick is. But they asked the question to lead in to then get this entire thing going. And I thought after the game, and I couldn't disagree more with Dawn Staley. And then after the game, when you looked at what Dawn Staley said, Dawn Staley came out and said Caitlin Clark is the greatest women's basketball player that we have ever seen. And she wanted to personally thank her, even though that she lost, the class that she played with, and what she has done for girls everywhere and for the entire game of women's college of women's basketball to grow the game is something that we cannot profoundly put a number on. And she from the bottom of her heart wants to thank her. And she said this on the court after the national championship. I thought it was a very classy move by Dawn Staley as well, to go out of her way to make sure to mention Caitlin Clark. So yeah, I mean, to put a bow on the whole thing, I think when you look at the way that Caitlin performed, and she performed up to and probably exceeded expectations. When I watch Caitlin play, she reminds me a lot of Steph, but she always makes the right basketball play. Yes, will she pull from 30 feet sometimes? Absolutely. There are a lot of heat checks that go on with Caitlin Clark. However, as soon as she rebounds, her first look is eyes up the floor, and it's always continuous. It's either an outlet or she's trying to hit it big, streaking right down the middle. It's the correct basketball play. And I think that you can be a great scorer, you can be a great whatever, but her basketball intuition, the way she plays the game, top notch. Absolutely. One of the best I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, I haven't dug into a whole lot, but I do remember watching Diana Taurasi. And to your point, as far as why you attack, is because Caitlin Clarkson made more than her in 2 years at Iowa than she probably made her entire career as a WNBA. That's where that saltiness comes from. And then we're talking about what's next for Caitlin Clark. As to your point, is to the she's not a senior, right? She's a sophomore, junior.
Who?
Caitlin Clark.
She could come back for one more year. She's a junior.
She's a junior. Come back for another year. If you amplify the amount that she's had, the impact on the game that she's had, and put it over NIL, we're talking millions. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. Why would you go to the NBA, be drafted over number 1 overall to make $50,000 a year? And I don't know if that's the salary. but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's pretty close to that.
I think it's 80. I think I'm not
the
100% sure.
Top women players make $100,000. So again, the impact that she's had, and now this is to me where NIL money is justified. You proved it. You proved your impact on the game. You have put the women's basketball in front of more people. You deserve every single bit of the money. And it should not one bit come from a normal American. It should come from corporate America, because guess what, guys? You have the ability to jump on something that we probably won't ever see again. I find it hard to believe that you'll see this kind of impact in women's basketball again. I mean, hell, we're talking about the uninformed fan here for 20 minutes. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
So, well, I see no reason for her to go to a WNBA draft. Go back and play college again. Maybe you can get some more people to transfer in, right? Like you saw the best player, one of the best point guards that transferred over to LSU after they won. Yeah, maybe you can get a couple, to your point, surrounding talent. Because imagine Caitlin Clark on a team that wasn't Caitlin Clark plus 4 people. What if it's Caitlin Clark plus 3 decent people or above average people?
Guess who just
maybe you can get that chip,
by the way, too.
Who?
Haley Van Lith.
She had a terrible game, dude. She's
leaving LSU. The LSU thing is weird to me. And the Angel Reese thing, which we talked about as well, too. She's turning pro early as well to go pro.
I don't understand that either. You can't tell me these females cannot make more money as on college right now with the impact that they're having.
Mercedes-Benz everywhere.
Yeah, but the impact, I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. Very interesting thing. But congratulations to South Carolina. All kudos to them. I can't believe that we live still in a society where reporters have zero integrity and they're just out here for clicks. But yet, here we are, baby.
Yep.
Let's get it on. Let's get on to some real basketball. How about that?
Whoa. We can't spend 20 minutes on women's college basketball. Then say, let's get on to some real basketball now.
How about this? Let's get to the highest tier level of basketball that there is on the land right now.
Absolutely.
The NBA season is wrapping up. And let me tell you, it's going to be a fun last week of the NBA. Yeah. The Eastern Conference, 2 through 6 is separated by 2.5 games with the number 2 Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Boston's in a class by themselves at this point. The Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis left the game with what we thought was an Achilles, but it turned out to be a left calf strain. So there could be a world where he doesn't play the entire last stretch of the run. And to Jeff's point, which he's going to bring up, they do have a lot of very important games. The Magic are right in the mix as well. The Bulls look like garbage as usual at this time of the year, but this is going to be a very fascinating end of the week. And this is where you will actually see NBA level basketball, because this last week with not only this, and we're going to talk about the Western Conference in just a second, this is where they actually try. This is where it matters.
The playoffs have basically begun.
Correct. So with that being said, Jeffrey, the Magic are right in the mix. They could go a lot of different ways. Where do you see the Magic ending up?
I hope that they come out of this stretch 2-1. Listen, last night was just one of those weird spots. I don't know if we can call it a weird spot, but you're playing Houston in Houston after they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. It just seems like Houston was going to come out on fire. They did. You're down Franz Wagner, who sprained his ankle, unfortunately, a couple days ago. So hopefully that doesn't drag on. But listen, at the end of the day, just get him ready for the playoffs. There's a chance that you could be in a play-in game. There's a chance that you could be the 2 seed. This is how tight the Eastern Conference is right now. We knew this stretch was going to be tough, obviously, but you have a terrible loss to a team like Charlotte, and then you lose to Houston. Those are 2 really bad losses. You got to get back up. Milwaukee tonight, 8:00. Obviously, Giannis will not be playing, so you do have that. You got to get on Damian Lillard, make sure he doesn't go crazy. Other than that, you should win this game, right? You're looking at the Magic. Magic are 46-33 right now. Milwaukee is 48-31. Milwaukee finishes with, they have Orlando, they have Oklahoma City, and then they have Orlando again on Sunday. And so that Sunday game might be very big. The Magic will go Milwaukee, Philly, Philly's trying to fight their way to be not in one of the play-in games.
With Embiid back.
Yes, and then we finish up with Milwaukee again. So it's going to be really tight. This is if you're a Magic fan, this game tonight literally means everything. Because if you lose this game, there is an absolute shot that you will have to go to the play-in game and you'll have to go play the Atlanta Hawks or somebody like that. If you win this game, you are pretty much very close to being able to clinch, not playing in the play-in game. So you got to come out tonight in Milwaukee. We've historically played well in Milwaukee. That being said,
I need Banchero to step up, man. I need him to step up. I know we've disagreed a little bit with us on this. This is when you cement your superstar status. You want to be that guy. You want to take the Orlando Magic on your back, which everyone thinks that you can. It's time. It's time.
You got to come hard tonight.
Absolutely. Come hard tonight. Take over. So to your point, like you said, between the Magic and the 10th seed is that's 10 games, but I mean realistically down to the 8th seed, there's a 2-game difference.
Seed. Yes.
No, even the 8th seed. The Heat are only 2 games back. But... Yeah, the Heat are only 2 games back. I mean, and the Heat have the Mavs and then the Raptors twice, which they could definitely win 2 out of those 3. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. The Bulls
has the Magic and the Nets left. So
the Bulls are just going to figure out if they're the 9th or the 10th seed and who are they going to lose to in the first round of the play-in tournament. So
and then the Heat get the Raptors twice and they get the Mavericks tonight. So
So I think they can take the Raptors, both of those, but the Heat, the Mavericks going to be a little bit shaky. Moving over to the Western Conference where things are even tighter. So between 1st and 3rd, there's a 1-game separation.
Yep.
And between 4th and 7th, fourth and 6th, there's a 4-game separation. So those ones are pretty much set in there. But then you get down to the very bottom, and it's more about seeding for the play-in tournament. You got the Suns sitting there, and then the Warriors holding on to the 10th. So between the 7th and the 10th spot is only 2 games. The Rockets have been eliminated. What a great stretch that they went to, put pressure on the Golden State Warriors there at the very end. So you got the Lakers and the Warriors. Look, like both of them guys are going to be actually, you got the Suns, the Lakers, and the Warriors all in the play-in tournament. And don't count out Sacramento, boys, because I know that we don't talk a lot about the NBA, but Sacramento is a sneaky good roster, and they can beat anybody on any given day.
Crazy, bro.
I think that Western playoff is probably going to be better than the real playoffs.
What's insane is that, like, Golden State, and listen, Houston's run reminded me of the Magic's run last year. So remember the Magic finished off really, really strong to start the end of the season. Obviously didn't make the play-in tournament, but the progress that they showed to the end, I thought was their jump. And it looks like Houston under Ime Udoka has now taken this second half jump as well. So look for them next year. Whatever you're going to see, if you get early lines on wins, I would definitely take the over. I think they have a chance to be a really good team next year.
I tell you, the Western Conference to me is just really surprising. You have the Timberwolves sitting at number 1, the Thunder at 3. I mean,
here's the thing too. Like, we thought when Karl-Anthony Towns went out that was like the end for the Timberwolves, right? Like that was basically it. And Anthony Edwards has been the best player in the NBA. He's been incredible. I think we went up for 51 the other night. Truly just an unbelievable superstar in the NBA right now. Now you're going to get Karl-Anthony Towns back. And now you're going to mix him back into that fold, and you're going to be just as good as you were to start. Denver, as long as Jamal Murray's healthy, that's really the question there. OKC, I love. They're playing with so much just heart. The problem is that there's just no experience there. And like whoever this
is going to be an experience year for this.
Correct. Whoever they
don't
get
expect them to go very far.
Unless it's the Pelicans. Like I could see them beating the Pelicans in the first round. But if it's anybody else, I'm going the other way on it.
Yeah.
Clippers, what was the score to that? It was 51-14, I think, against the Suns 2 nights ago. Just clicking on all cylinders right now. Really impressive. Mavericks have been a lot better since they got PJ Washington in that trade. Pelicans, what's Zion going to be? The Suns to the Warriors. Warriors have been one of the best teams the second half since the All-Star break. Steph is starting to heat up. Clay's been playing a lot better. Draymond hit 5 threes last night. I mean,
I saw Draymond's
hitting 5 threes, they're going to be impossible to defend. LeBron has been playing at an incredibly high level. So when you talk about the Lakers, you talk about Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Yes, they've been playing at an incredibly high level. Without Anthony Davis, they are a shell of themselves in terms of defensively. They cannot hang. And you're right, the Kings roster, top to bottom, is with Malik Monk coming off the bench, with De'Aaron Fox, with Horter, they have guys, Sabonis, they got guys in every single position that can really come out and contribute. I know you're not the biggest NBA fan. I know a lot of people aren't right now, but this is the time if you like NBA.
This is the time I become a fan.
Guys come out and play their absolute ass off, and it's a pleasure to watch.
Exactly. I just feel like, with the NBA, they make an exorbitant amount of money because their rosters are very small, right? So even the deep players get paid an exorbitant amount of money, and I just feel like they don't give a shit during the regular season. And it's on paper. And not only is it on paper, the NBA had to put a tournament in the middle of the season to give them extra incentives to play. So I will stand on that hill till I die. They don't give a shit about anything. But now's when I become an NBA fan. And mark my words, put it down 3 times, make a note. I'm telling you, the Western Conference play-in tournament will be better than any playoff format the entire series. Mark it down, chip it up. It's going to be amazing.
It's
to your
so
point,
much
what we
fun
said
they've
about
done this too, right? Because you create this Game 7 atmosphere in every game that you're playing in this play-in tournament. And it's not like the teams are the bad teams. They're the teams that maybe didn't perform as well as you thought. But the Bulls still have Kobe White, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. I mean, they have a roster. Or Levine's out. I'm sorry, but like the Hawks still have a roster. You know what I mean? Like the Heat,
and they're getting Trae Young back.
The Heat are still the same team that just went to the NBA Finals. Like these games are. You want Jimmy Butler Game 7? Like, it's great, man. It's great.
I was actually just trying to scroll real quick to see if there's any possibility of Zach LaVine coming back. I don't think so. I think he had season-ending injury. Yeah, season-ending foot
too is Julius Randle opted into season-ending injury for the New York Knicks as well. So that's a huge blow to them. So if you're looking at seeding, you're looking at somebody who you want to play. I know a lot of Magic fans are like, "Ooh, I want to play the Knicks." They don't have Randall anymore. You really want to go play Tom Thibodeau and slow it down and play grind time and play a better Mike Conley and Jalen Brunson in his prime. I don't know.
Let me tell you this.
Like, I'd rather play a really good offensive team like the Pacers that run up and down and shoot threes from everywhere. And, we play really good defense. So I think that's a great matchup for us. 2 defensive teams. I don't really know.
I'll just say this. When it comes to the playoffs, there's no good matchup. Like, there's no, I want to play them. We're beating them in 4. I just don't see it. Now, there are series that will get swept in 4, but it's just not like you see it on paper. Like, I want to sweep them. So this is definitely the time that I like the NBA. So I will definitely be tuning in for the rest of the week. So moving on, transitioning before we wrap it up today. Of course, we have to talk about the mothership, the NFL, always in the news. Of course, nothing really huge coming on. Just a little bit of chatter about potential pick swaps, everything. I do believe we have the draft coming up in what? Like
couple weeks.
2 weeks? 2 weeks. Yeah. Thank God, man. I'll tell you, I've never been more exhausted in an NFL offseason than this one. Never been. I
did see a report that the Commanders did offer some picks to the Bears to swap 1 and 2, and the Bears turned them down.
Well, I think that Ryan Poles is all in.
They just locked in on Caleb. It's so funny to me that people who are like, this guy's got the biggest bust written all over him. I'm like, you're a clown. You're trying to have a different opinion, and I get it, and that's fine. But there's nothing about Caleb Williams that makes me think he's going to be a bust.
Well, I mean, if you just look overall, just, the accuracy and the odds of the number 1 pick, and especially I think when you start looking at in a draft with Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, in a draft with Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, he would still go number 1.
Still go number 1 for sure.
I mean, when you start talking all that shit, people are going to be like, of course, he's not. He's going to be a bust.
Okay.
Nobody's ever said that about. I mean, come on. Joe Burrow's already proven shit. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls. And you're going to tell me that this guy was still been picked over all of them. Yeah. Were you the same one that said Mitch Trubisky was the best quarterback in the draft? Because if so, I need receipts. But Antoine Winfield from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is almost close to being the highest paid safety in the league. The rumors are still that the deal is going to get done. I don't know if your Bucs insider has any more information on that.
Do not, but like I said, I'm very happy for Antoine Winfield Jr. One piece of news as well, too. Do want to wish my guy, Logan Ryan, well wishes. He did retire from the NFL. Sent him a nice text, and he said he appreciated it. But I just good for you, Logan. You were a consummate professional. and onward and upward to what is going to be, I'm sure, a great career after football for you as well.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to be on the show, just please reach out. I mean, we'd be happy to have you at any point in time. The Jacksonville Jaguars also signed Josh Allen to a 5-year, $150 million contract. Congratulations to you. You are now paid. And the Packers and Eagles are going to open up week 1 in Brazil, Jeffrey's
Sao Paulo.
family's home country. So that's also interesting. And as we're talking about NFL legends, there is actually an NFL Super Bowl playing Chicago Bear that has moved into my community.
Devin Hester.
We're not going to name any names. No.
We're going to keep the privacy.
We're going to keep the privacy, but we're definitely going to be in contact. We've already touched base a couple times. Going to try to definitely get him on the show. I think that would be awesome. And then, of course, to have a little bit more Bears inside information. That can never go wrong, as we always love to hear that. So that should be good. I'm excited about that. My wife says, "Why are you fangirling?" I'm not fangirling. Like, I wave. I say hello. He did walk by me. He had a Bears shirt on. And I was talking to another neighbor with the dogs, and I was like, "Bear down, baby." And he kind of he's like, "Wait a minute. This guy's oh." Of course, my father-in-law has already told him that I'm a diehard Bears fan, so I'm sure that cherry has been popped. But looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get him on the show. We'll see what happens. Other than that, I think that's going to wrap us up. Jeffrey, you have anything to add?
No, that's it. I gotta go pick the kids up. So.
3-time. Anything that you need covered over here? I see you've been in the shadows all day.
He's taking a shower.
He's responding in chat in the shower.
Yeah, he's got his phone on him. Just boop, 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 you know.
Okay. I'm glad they're not in the shower. Everybody, we'll see you back here next Wednesday. I don't know. I apologize. Last Friday, we didn't do a Formula One Friday. My cousin flaked out like a loser. I hope you're listening.
I loved the first one, dude. I loved the first one. I thought Clay was great. Like,
I love the information that he provides, but unfortunately, when you have 2 kids and both in sports and things of that nature, as you know,
he's a really nice yin to your yang as well. Like,
he also coaches his son's teams and his daughter's softball, so he's got a lot going on. So hopefully, we can get back to that this Friday. We can recap the Japan race, and then of course, moving forward to the next race as well. We'll talk about that. Masters weekend, everybody get out there, get a TV. I still haven't heard back from my crew if we're going to have a Masters watch party or not. Hopefully somebody responds in some form or fashion, because as you can tell, Big Daddy's ready to go out and watch a little sports this weekend. So hopefully
I will tell you this. We are closed. My restaurant is closed on Sunday and Monday. So Sunday we were talking about trying to get an early round in and then watching golf in the afternoon.
Well, I'm there for the afterwards. As you know, I'm still not available to play golf,
okay.
But we are working on it. We're working on the body, guys. Working on the body. He's got to memorize coming up this week, so we're going to get that taken care of. Just like Lonzo Ball, T-Money's looking to be back for the 2025 golf season.
Beautiful.
Until then, we'll see you next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Everybody, have a great weekend. And please, for the love of God, stay out of the left hand.